Good afternoon, Dr. Lee and fellow cohorts. Before I start my presentation, I would like to take a moment and wish any fathers in the class a happy Father's Day. My take on Chapter 12 is that administrative rulemaking is the workhorse of public policy. It's the process by which laws, either passed by Congress or a state legislature, are turned into rules which individuals and organizations must adhere to. I felt the power really come through for me in this reading to enforce law, but also change social outcomes and their circumstances in subtle yet impactful ways. Perhaps more importantly, and specifically to equity, the power that we are given to either change support exclusions based on our decisions in this process of rulemaking. The core argument from Chapter 12 of Administrative Rulemaking, the author Sally Selden argues that rulemaking is typically inequitable, not because of biased persons operating out of discrimination, but rather a result of how highly technical an administrative rulemaking process is, combined with overall public access to rulemaking. While reading this, I thought about the issue of the reality for people, being that most people don't know about a rule that is proposed, let alone how to provide comments to influence this rule. So if most people see a lobbyist who has been funded and paid to use their time and expertise as attorneys to engage in rulemaking, why would we expect an outcome to be influenced for self-advocacy? Regarding equity concerns, one piece of commentary that I found interesting was the idea of language and access, and unintentionally creating barriers. Rulemaking notifications are generally filled with legalese and posted somewhere, likely that no one will see it. Groups who have already marginalized historically, such as populations that do not speak English and rural populations, become groups that support this cycle of exclusion continuing. I had to wrestle with how much participation in government can be easier said than done. Suggestions and solutions. Selden had many actionable suggestions. One of the suggestions I found particularly useful was using equity impact assessments, essentially developing decision questions as who stands to benefit from this rule and who stands to be harmed. I would think this should be part of any policy discussion at its core. Additionally, Selden suggested where there are recommendations for better community engagement, there should be town halls, accessible language, and early engagement with local community groups and organizations. This signified to me that equity is not just about having the right intentions, it is about designing spaces of systems to allow people to come in. The role of HR in internal equity. I appreciated that the chapter connected back to HR and the internal agency culture. If people developing rules do not reflect the people in the community that will be served, or the agency does not have equitable practices, this will be reflected in the rules. It had me thinking critically about what representation in that public spaces look like and how an internal representation in those public institutions had sway over what they may create. My final thoughts are that rulemaking ultimately for me is not just another checkbox in a bureaucratic realm. It is a unique space of potential that may allow for equitable and inequitable outcomes in a policy. I believe that as future public administrators, we need to commit to paying attention to the rulemaking process and act as a bridge to advocate for change and make it transparent and accessible. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. I have posted the discussion questions in my main post, and I thank you for taking time to watch this today.